have been married for 50 years, half a century, 5 decades, 18,000 days, more than 400,000 hours. That sounds romantic when you say it quickly, when you announce it at a party, when you put it on a card. It sounds like an achievement, like something you accomplished, like a milestone worth celebrating, like a trophy, like a prize you won, like evidence of success. It isn't. It's not what you think it is. It is not something you win. There's no finish line, no medal ceremony, no moment where you've conquered it. It is something you survive day by day, year by year, through seasons that test everything you think you know about commitment. And after 50 years of marriage, after living through every phase and every challenge that comes with building a life with another human being, I can tell you something most people don't want to hear about love, something that contradicts everything the movies taught you, everything the songs promised you, everything you believed when you were young. Love is not about feelings. It never was. That's the fundamental misunderstanding. It never was. Not in any marriage that actually lasts. Not in any relationship that survives the test of decades. When I was young, barely more than a boy, really, I thought love was intensity. I thought if it didn't feel overwhelming, it wasn't real. Butterflies, that nervous excitement in your stomach, that racing heart when you saw them, desire, the physical pull, the magnetic attraction, the need to be close, excitement, the thrill, the adventure, the feeling that everything was new and alive, certainty, the absolute conviction that this person was the one, that nothing could ever change this feeling. I thought if those feelings faded, something was wrong. I thought the relationship was failing. I thought we had made a mistake. After 50 years, I understand something different, something deeper, something that took decades to learn. Feelings fluctuate, they change. They rise and fall like waves, like tides, like weather. Commitment decides. That's what matters. That's what builds a marriage. That's what creates something that lasts. There were years we were deeply in love, years where everything felt easy, where we couldn't imagine being apart, where connection felt natural and effortless. There were years we were exhausted, years where we were just surviving, where we were too tired to feel anything beyond fatigue, where love felt like a chore we didn't have energy for. There were years we barely understood each other, years where we spoke different languages, where we couldn't bridge the gap, where we felt like strangers living in the same house. There were seasons where silence lasted longer than it should have, weeks of tension, months of distance, periods where we coexisted without truly connecting. Love does not remain constant. It shifts, it evolves, it transforms. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's fragile. People don't either. We change, we grow. We become different versions of ourselves, sometimes better, sometimes worse, always different. And that is the first thing 50 years taught me. You do not marry a person, not a fixed entity, not someone who will stay the same forever. You marry a series of versions of that person, the young version, the middle-aged version, the aging version, each one different. And you must choose them again and again, every year, every phase, every transformation. You must decide to stay, to commit, to choose them anew. The woman I married at 27 is not the woman sitting beside me now. She's not the same person, not physically, not mentally, not emotionally. She changed. Her body changed, her mind changed, her priorities changed, her dreams changed. So did I. I'm not the man she married either. I've transformed, I've aged, I've become someone different. And if you expect the same person forever, you will resent the growth that life forces on both of you. You'll resent their evolution. You'll resist their becoming. You'll mourn who they used to be instead of loving who they are. Marriage is not static. It's not a photograph. It's not frozen in time. It is adaptation, constant adjustment, continuous recalibration, learning to love new versions of each other. Let me tell you something uncomfortable, something I wish someone had told me when I was young. There were moments I doubted, many moments, more than I'd like to admit. Moments I questioned whether we were compatible anymore, whether we still fit together, whether we still made sense. Moments I felt misunderstood, like she couldn't see me, like she didn't know me, like I was invisible. Moments she did too. She felt the same doubt, the same questions, the same disconnection. Love is not the absence of doubt. Doubt is normal. Doubt is human. Doubt is inevitable. It is the decision not to leave when doubt appears. It's choosing to stay, to work through it, to find your way back to each other. The biggest lie about marriage is that compatibility keeps it alive, that if you're right for each other, everything will work naturally. It doesn't. Compatibility isn't enough. It's not even the main thing. Respect does. Respect sustains. Respect builds. Respect protects what matters most. And respect is a daily discipline. It's not automatic. It's not natural. It's a choice you make repeatedly. It is how you speak when you are angry, when you want to wound, when you want to win, when you want to hurt them like they hurt you. It is how you listen when you disagree, when you think they're wrong, when you want to interrupt, when you want to prove your point. It is how you treat someone when they are not at their best, when they're weak, when they're difficult, when they're not the version you fell in love with. Attraction fades, physical attraction weakens, bodies change, age changes everything, charm fades, the qualities that first captivated you become ordinary, familiarity diminishes novelty, but respect is what prevents contempt, and contempt is the poison that kills marriages from the inside, and contempt kills marriages quietly, not dramatically, not with explosions, just slowly, steadily, completely. There was a year, I remember it clearly, I can still feel the weight of it, when we barely spoke without tension. Every conversation had an edge, every interaction felt strained, work stress, pressures from both our jobs, financial worries, the exhaustion of providing, financial pressure, bills we couldn't pay easily, debt we were trying to manage, constant anxiety about money, parenting exhaustion, young children demanding everything, sleepless nights, no time for ourselves, no energy left for each other. Everything felt heavy, like we were carrying too much, like the weight would crush us, like we couldn't do it anymore. It would have been easy to emotionally drift away, to stop trying, to become roommates instead of partners, to give up without officially ending it. Instead, we made a small decision, not a grand gesture, not a dramatic change, just a small shift in approach. We stopped trying to win arguments, stopped keeping score, stopped trying to prove who was right and who was wrong. We started trying to understand them, started listening differently, started asking what the other person needed instead of defending ourselves. That shift saved us. I'm convinced of it. Without that change, we would have slowly destroyed what we built. Because marriage is not about winning. It's not a competition. There are no winners when both people lose connection. It is about preserving the bond, protecting the connection, maintaining what matters most. After 50 years, here is what love truly is. It is showing up when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you'd rather be alone. It is staying calm when you could escalate, when you could raise your voice, when you could make it worse, when you could fight fire with fire. It is choosing softness when pride wants control, when your ego wants to dominate, when you want to win, when you want to be right. Love is not loud, it's not dramatic, it's not the stuff of movies. It is repetitive, the same gestures, the same choices, the same commitment day after day after day. It is in the small daily gestures no one applauds, the things that happen in private, the things no one sees or celebrates, making coffee for them before they wake, the way they like it every morning, sitting quietly, together, without needing to fill the silence, without needing entertainment, holding a hand in silence while watching TV, while walking, while sitting, just connection without words. Love is maintenance, like maintaining a house, like maintaining a garden, constant care, constant attention, not fireworks, not constant celebration, not perpetual excitement. You think passion sustains marriage. You think intensity keeps it alive. You think excitement is what matters. It doesn't. Passion fluctuates. Intensity can't be maintained. Excitement becomes exhausting. Consistency does. Showing up every day, being reliable, being present, being there. Predictability does. Knowing what to expect, knowing who they are, knowing you can count on them. Reliability does. Being someone they can depend on, being solid, being stable, being steady, knowing someone will still be there when the version of you that is difficult emerges, because it will. You won't always be your best self, because it will, guaranteed. You will be difficult, you will be moody, you will be unpleasant. You will both become difficult at times, not just once, repeatedly in different ways at different times, sick, physically ill, mentally unwell, suffering, vulnerable, needy, moody, irritable, unreasonable, emotional, hard to be around, aging, slower, weaker, less capable, more dependent, more frustrated, afraid of death, of loss, of irrelevance, of change, of the future. Love is deciding not to weaponize those weaknesses, not using their vulnerability against them, not attacking when they're down. At 50 years, I can tell you something clearly, something I wish I'd understood decades ago. The person beside you is not your enemy, even when you're fighting, even when you're hurt, even when you're angry, even when it feels like it, even when they seem like the source of your problems, even when you're in conflict. The real enemy is ego, your pride, your need to be superior, your need to win. Pride, your unwillingness to apologize, your inability to admit you're wrong, your refusal to bend, the need to be right, the need to prove your point, the need to show they're wrong, the need to dominate. There were arguments I prolonged simply because I wanted to win. Not because the issue mattered, just because I couldn't let it go. Years later, I cannot even remember what they were about. The specific issues are gone, forgotten, meaningless now. But I remember the distance they created, the coldness, the separation, the damage to intimacy. Distance is what kills intimacy. Not disagreement, not conflict, not fighting, not disagreement. Disagreement is normal, healthy even, part of being two different people. Marriage taught me patience in a way nothing else could, more than work, more than parenting, more than anything else in life. It forced me to confront my selfishness, my self-centeredness, my tendency to put myself first, my inability to consider her needs, my impatience, my need for things to happen now, my inability to wait, my frustration with delays, my immaturity, my emotional reactions, my lack of self-control, my childish responses to conflict, because you cannot hide who you are from someone who has seen you every morning for decades. They know you, all of you, the good and the ugly. Love exposes you, reveals you, shows all your flaws, unmasks all your pretenses. And if you are unwilling to grow, marriage becomes suffocation, becomes prison, becomes unbearable. Here is another truth, another thing that took years to understand. Romance is seasonal. It comes and goes. It has peaks and valleys. It's not constant. Partnership is permanent. That's the foundation. That's what endures. That's what matters more. At 50 years, what matters most is not how exciting your spouse is, not how passionate, not how romantic. It is whether you trust them when everything collapses, when life falls apart, when crisis hits, when you need someone solid. We lost money once, a significant amount, a devastating loss that threatened everything we'd built, nearly everything, our savings, our security, our plans, our future. I remember sitting at the kitchen table, both of us silent, stunned, scared, not knowing what to say. She looked at me and said, "We'll rebuild." Just 4 words, simple, steady, sure, no accusation, no blame, no "I told you so," no anger at my role in the loss, no panic, no hysteria, no falling apart, just calm strength, just steadiness, solid ground when everything else was shaking, an anchor when I was drifting. That moment was love. More than any romantic gesture, more than any Valentine, more than any anniversary. Not a vacation, not flowers, not jewelry, not grand gestures, not a celebration, not something Instagram-worthy, not something others would notice. Stability in chaos. Strength when I was weak. Partnership when I needed it most. You will age together. That's inevitable. That's guaranteed if the marriage lasts. That is something no one explains properly. No one prepares you for watching someone you love decline. You will watch each other weaken, physically, mentally, in ways that are hard to witness. You will see lines appear on their face, on their hands, marking time, marking age, energy decline, the vitality fade, the strength diminish, the youth disappear, parents die, theirs, yours, reminders of mortality, previews of what's coming, children leave, the house empties, the purpose shifts, the dynamic changes, and if you have built real love, you become each other's witness, the person who remembers, the keeper of shared history, someone who remembers who you were when you forget, who can remind you of your strength, your courage, your resilience, someone who saw your strength before your body changed, before age weakened you, before time took its toll. That is sacred, that is holy, that is what makes 50 years meaningful. After 50 years, here is the lesson, the core truth I wish I could give to every young couple. Love is not about finding the perfect person. There is no perfect person. Everyone is flawed. Everyone is broken in some way. It is about becoming someone capable of sustaining love, building the character, developing the discipline, cultivating the virtues. That requires humility, the ability to admit you're wrong, to apologize, to not always need to be right, self-control, the discipline to not say everything you think, to not react to every provocation, to choose your response, forgiveness, letting go, releasing resentment, choosing to move forward instead of dwelling on past hurts, forgiveness especially. This is perhaps the most important, the most necessary, the most challenging, because you will hurt each other, guaranteed, repeatedly in small ways and sometimes big ways, not always intentionally. Sometimes you won't mean to, sometimes it will be accidental, sometimes you won't even realize it, but inevitably it will happen. Hurt is part of intimacy. Pain is part of closeness, and if you keep score, you will poison the marriage slowly. Resentment will build. Bitterness will grow. Love will die. Forgiveness resets the clock, starts fresh, clears the slate, allows you to begin again. If I could give one warning to young couples, if I could tell them one thing they need to know, it would be this. Do not expect constant happiness. That's not realistic. That's not how marriage works. That's not how life works. Expect growth. Expect challenge. Expect transformation. Expect to be stretched. Growth is uncomfortable. It hurts. It's hard. It requires change. It stretches you beyond what feels comfortable, beyond what feels safe, beyond what you thought were your limits. It forces difficult conversations about sex, about money, about parenting, about fears, about needs, but it keeps love alive, keeps it dynamic, keeps it real, keeps it deep. Comfort makes it stagnant, makes it shallow, makes it fragile, makes it boring. At this stage of life, when I look at her across the room after all these years, it is not fireworks I feel, not the explosion of early passion. It is familiarity, recognition, the comfort of knowing, the ease of being known, history, shared experiences, memories only we hold, stories only we understand, shared memory of raising children, of building a life, of surviving crisis, of celebrating victories, a quiet understanding, knowing without words, understanding without explanation, connection that runs deeper than conversation, and that is deeper than passion ever was, more valuable, more meaningful, more sustaining. Passion burns fast, hot and bright and quickly consumed, exciting but unsustainable. History builds slowly, layer by layer, year by year, decade by decade, solid and enduring. There were nights when we were tired of each other, exhausted by each other, needing space, needing distance. There were days when silence felt easier than communication, when talking felt like too much work, when we didn't have the energy to connect, but we kept returning. That's the key, that's the secret. That's what made the difference. Returning is the secret. Coming back, reconnecting, choosing each other again, returning after conflict, after fights, after hurt, after distance, returning after disappointment, after unmet expectations, after letdowns, returning after pride, after ego, after wanting to be right. Every time you return, instead of withdraw, you strengthen the structure, you build trust, you deepen connection, you create something solid. 50 years of marriage taught me this about love. Love is a decision you renew daily, not once, not on your wedding day, every single day, not dramatically, not with grand gestures, not with declarations, quietly, in small choices, in private moments, in mundane actions, through actions, how you speak, how you listen, how you show up, through restraint, what you don't say, what you don't do, what you choose not to escalate, through presence, being there, paying attention, noticing, caring. If you think love is about feeling good all the time, you will quit when it stops feeling easy, when the butterflies disappear, when passion cools. If you understand that love is about loyalty, growth, and shared endurance, you will build something that outlives attraction, something deeper, something that lasts. At 50 years, I no longer fear boredom. Boredom is fine, comfortable even, better than chaos. I fear indifference, apathy, not caring. That's what kills marriage. That's when it's truly over. As long as you care enough to argue respectfully, to communicate, to try, love lives. As long as effort exists, hope exists. When you stop trying, it dies. When you give up, when you stop caring, that's the real end. I'm not telling you marriage is easy. It's not. Anyone who says otherwise is lying. It is not. It's hard. It's work. It's challenging. It's demanding. It demands maturity, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, character, discipline, and most people enter it immature. I certainly did. She probably did too. Myself included. I wasn't ready. I had to grow into it, had to learn as I went. But if both people are willing to evolve, marriage becomes the greatest teacher of your life, the most transformative relationship you'll ever have. It will show you your weaknesses, all of them, every flaw, every limitation, every character defect, and give you the opportunity to correct them, to grow, to become better, to mature. I have loved her imperfectly, with mistakes, with failures, with shortcomings. She has loved me imperfectly, the same way, with grace, with patience, with forgiveness. But we stayed through everything, through all of it, through every season, and staying, when done with intention and growth, creates something extraordinary, something rare, something precious, not excitement, not constant thrills, not perpetual passion, depth, roots, foundation, something that can't be shaken, and depth is what remains when everything else fades. When beauty fades, when passion cools, when excitement ends. 50 years later, here is what I know with absolute certainty. Love is not about how you start, not about the proposal, not about the wedding, not about the honeymoon. It is about how you endure, how you persist, how you keep choosing each other. And if you are willing to endure with humility, patience, and respect, you will one day look back and realize you did not just find love. You didn't discover it. You didn't stumble upon it. You built it brick by brick, day by day, choice by choice, year by year. And that is far more powerful, more meaningful, more valuable than anything you could have found.